Mr. Mannion of New York is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to our witnesses here today who are providing very detailed and passionate testimony. I believe that the child care crisis is one of our nation's biggest challenges, and it's one of the biggest challenges in the district that I represent. In far too many communities, including in New York 22, costs have skyrocketed, and there's simply not enough facilities or available slots to meet the demand. Shockingly, long wait lists have now become the norm, and parents are frustrated by a lack of options. Nearly every family is concerned about child care affordability. This problem is not limited to low-income households or specific areas. Middle-class and even higher-income families feel this as well, and it's an issue regardless of where you live. Parents should never have to choose between making a living and taking care of their kids. We need to strengthen our federal commitment to child care, investing in provider sites, improving wages for the workers, and also helping families afford it. In my time in the New York State Legislature, we met those challenges by creating a targeted program targeted towards micro-deserts and deserts where child care gaps existed. This was a competitive and rigorous program, a grant program that allowed existing facilities to expand and for new facilities to be started. This was money well spent, and an analysis just a few years afterwards showed that the demand that existed went down because of gaps being filled. So last week we learned that the Trump administration is attempting to withhold child care funding for what appears to be purely political reasons, targeting 5 Democratic-led states, including my own, New York. And let me be clear, this is not a punishment of state governments who this administration is actually hurting in this scenario are thousands of parents who need child care. And that includes parents in states like New York that have supported the president and employees in child care facilities who have supported the president. So which party happens to be in the governor's seat in a state should not determine whether that state receives funds or not. Individuals, families have been impacted tremendously. And the actions of withholding these funds are un-American, they're partisan, they're immoral, and they don't just hurt people of one political party. And with that, my questions today are for Ms. Matsui. Some of the policy options available at the federal level are what my questions are related to. So first, how could we enhance the child tax credit, which is only partially refundable, to ensure that all families are able to take advantage of the full benefit?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. During the pandemic, under the American Rescue Plan Act, the child tax credit was made fully refundable, and what we saw was that that decreased child poverty by almost 50%. When we asked families how they used those funds, it was to pay the bills. It was also to pay for things like childcare. So increasing the refundability of the child tax credit as it was in 2021 really gives families the resources they need to make the decisions that meet their families best, and that includes paying for childcare.
Thank you. And second, the corporate tax code obviously taxes profits, not revenues. For smaller businesses operating on smaller margins and with fewer profits, can you talk about why certain corporate tax credits might be inaccessible or frustrating to try to access for Main Street businesses?
Thank you for the question. The way that most corporate tax credits are structured is that as non-refundable credits. And so that means if a company doesn't have tax liability against which to apply it, the credit is basically meaningless. In some cases, they can apply it to previous years or to future years, but for companies that have small profit margins or for nonprofits, those are not tax benefits that incentivize them. They just aren't available.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.